Hello and welcome to your in-depth weekly horoscope for week commencing the 21st of November. I'm going to outline what we can collectively expect this week, but please stay with me. I will then dive deep to give you in forensic detail each of the signs from Aries through to Pisces, which you can watch from the perspective of your sun or your ascendant if they are different. Now, as this week begins, Mars and Pluto end a really difficult, tense relationship which began on the 11th of October. This may not be particularly perceptible, but of course Mars is in the sign of Gemini, which is very much about strident opinions. It's in retrograde now, and it is being drained by the very dreamy, drifting and watery vibe of Neptune, and that does continue all this week. But Mars and Pluto are the two rulers of Scorpio, so there's been a huge amount of intensity washing around our situations. And the great news is that as we come into this week, on Tuesday, the Sun arrives in the sign of Sagittarius, where it joins up with Venus and Mercury that relocated last week. So it really is a case of a Sagittarius season. But of course, the sign of Sagittarius is very much about expansion, optimism, positivity, travel, higher education. It can be to do with international boundaries. And we do have a new moon which occurs on Wednesday. And this new moon is going to be squaring up the ruler of the sign of Sagittarius, Jupiter, which is in the other sign it governs of Pisces, but has been in a retrograde. Now that goes direct later on the day of the new moon, which is something to really celebrate. So through to the 20th of December, Jupiter is going to be making its way through the sign of Pisces, and then it moves back into the sign of Aries. If you would like to check out this Jupiter transition, please look out for my special deep dive video, which you can see in the links beneath this video. But this energy, this exuberance that Jupiter brings through its rulership of Sagittarius and Pisces, but because Jupiter is in a right angle, despite it coming to the end of its retrograde, does mean I feel that because the Sun, Mercury and Venus are in house 9 for us all, that's very much about the amplification of energy, whereas Jupiter is in house 12, very sensitive, very psychological, very much more to do with the hidden sphere. So I feel that whatever we're feeling, good or bad, it's going to feel that much more intense. But generally, I think there's going to be a much lighter and more vibrant vibe doing the rounds, which is really great. Also, Jupiter is going to be forging an extremely helpful angle with Pluto. This sextile goes through the whole of this week. And if we really want to be productive in terms of being more on the front foot, as long as we're listening to how things feel, because of Jupiter being very close to Neptune, the two rulers of the sign of Pisces, very much about that more spiritual, emotional dimension. As long as we tune into how things feel, we can use Jupiter's positivity with the productivity that Pluto brings around an appetite for change and transformation. So something can shape up in a very big and dynamic way this week. It could be that we're going to see some better news about international affairs. Let's all hope so. It's also possible that if for whatever reason in your particular locality COVID restrictions have meant mixing and mingling or moving around freely have been rather limited, I think things can free up somewhat more over the following month. And in general, this is a great opportunity to celebrate different ways of looking at life, downloading more information, becoming much more invested in facts and truth, because Jupiter at its best through its rulership of Sagittarius, is very much about that. Now, if you would like to ascend above this zodiac broadcast and understand what year 2023 will hold for you, please see the link beneath this video where you can order your personal forecast based on your time, date and place of birth. No two forecasts are the same. They're all absolutely individual to the data that they're prepared upon. If you order it now, you get the last part of 2022 free, and also my special package. You can also get your life roadmap or your character analysis, which will help you to understand some of the patterns that have been repeated in your life, but also help you to understand how to seize upon your talents and qualities in a much more successful way. If you're new to my channel, thank you so much for joining me. If you would care to subscribe, please click or tap on the bell notification symbol. If you're already an ongoing viewer, thank you so much for all your views. So Cancer, your week commencing the 21st of November forecast suggests that this is a great week to grapple with life's details. Now, I know that this is not a particularly sexy concept, but actually in my experience, Cancerian people are usually very gifted at managing the home, a business unit, or even a larger enterprise. And you can use those organisational skills to great effect with the passage of the sun into Sagittarius, which can be about knowledge, but also the new moon. So you may find that whilst certain areas of your situation do run very efficiently, that you can discover ways where you can make marginal gains. So small adjustments to a number of areas can actually be very productive for you. Also, because Mars has been in an incredibly attritional angle to Pluto in your sector of relating, but also continues in a right angle to the rather drifting, dreamy and draining energy of Neptune, I feel that perhaps you haven't felt as energized as you would like of late. So any small changes you make could actually have some significant premiums in freeing up some extra vitality. So virtue is the word of the week, to be honest, but of course we do have Christmas celebrations and gatherings at this time of the year, and I'm not saying that you should eschew those calorific goodies completely, but if you can find ways to cook food from scratch, analyse perhaps packaging a little bit more, simplify things, make them earthier, that would be a very good thing to do. Now also Mercury and Venus are in a sparkling alliance in this part of your situation. If you are thinking about changing a job, going for a new position, some kind of role which is service-led could actually be where you really do well. Or if you're already in a sector that provides those kind of support services, your people skills and the way that you can explain things to others will actually be really supported and appreciated by people. The one challenge you've got this week, I think, really, is that Jupiter goes direct on Wednesday, which is definitely a good news story, and that's going to push you to embrace a bit of freedom, and it's going to be a window of opportunity that goes on through to the 20th of December, but just at a time where if you are more self-sacrificing, an opportunity can come in terms of that job. But I think the best way you can use this is if a job involves travel or learning or sharing ideas you have through training, for example, or courses or information, you could do very well, and by the 20th of December see a real uptick in your situation. Also, Jupiter is forging an absolutely gorgeous link to Pluto, so there may be certain alliances that build up from this week that actually can be extremely positive for you future forwards. Jupiter and Pluto, when they're in a sextile, can also be very good for finances. But Jupiter is in the ninth house, so that's very much about discovery. Although it's in Pisces, that does evoke its more Sagittarian qualities of freedom and new experiences. But I think Pluto in your seventh house of relating suggests that if you have had some disappointments around some alliances or friendships or relationships over the last 5 or 6 weeks, as Mars has been in that very tense angle with Pluto, I think Jupiter can restore your faith. But I think at the present time, it's probably you who is going to be asked to lead the way and try to get things moving by offering something, being a bit more self-sacrificing, and that goodwill can forge something longer term, which actually can be very much to your longer term benefit.